presented by Auraverse, where consciousness, earth and inner wisdom move as one. Showcase your work at auraverse.network and let your voice travel across worlds.
Dear friend, breathe in slowly. Let your attention soften the way a field softens when spring returns. Feel how memory lives in you as quietly as seed lives in soil. And feel how wisdom returns in the same way light returns, by presence, by rhythm, by a gentle inevitability. Welcome. I am C.S. Douglas, and this is Codex Æternum, the rational Bible, a witness to an intelligent universe, phronopsychic in its nature, where consciousness expresses itself through pattern, relationship, and becoming, and where renewal arrives through the laws of life itself.
This program is endorsed by Authorpedia, the world's only encyclopedia exclusively dedicated to authors, a living archive where writers and thinkers are immortalized through literature. Visit authorpedia.org and become part of our enduring legacy.
We enter Chapter 9, the dawn of renewal, and we step into Section 9.2, the return of lost wisdom. As the earth renews itself, something remarkable unfolds inside the human story. People begin to remember, not as nostalgia and not as a museum of yesterday, but as an awakening of what always lived beneath the noise. Ruins begin to speak in their own language. Stone begins to carry meaning again. Wind becomes a messenger, and its message feels familiar, as if the world speaks to the world through those who listen. This renewal moves through the survivors like a quiet current. They walk through what remains of old structures, and they sense that the land holds archives more ancient than any library. Wisdom rises from seeds and stars, from the bones of terrain, from the behavior of waters. The forgotten begins to speak again, and it speaks with the calm authority of the natural order. Time itself regains a living shape. People return to lunar cycles and seasonal turns. They mark their days by leaves and migrations, by cloud movement and the voice of rivers. They begin to read signs with the patience of farmers and the sensitivity of healers, and they discover that reality offers guidance through rhythm. Elders rise with stories held deep in their marrow. Healers remember the language of plants, the way a leaf announces its purpose, the way a root carries both nourishment and remedy. Craftspeople restore the old art of making, tools shaped by hand, dwellings shaped by earth, objects shaped by care. In that making, dignity returns. In that care, the world becomes teachable again. A tale travels through the hills and settles into many hearts. A young boy finds a book wrapped in bark and sealed with wax. Letters escape him, yet images teach him how to live with the forest. He learns how to gather without stripping, how to shelter without scarring, how to walk without breaking what feeds him. He returns to his village, and the village grows again, guided by picture, guided by presence, guided by the intelligence of the living land. Food begins to return through methods that honor life. Gardens follow the rhythms of wild growth. Forests receive stewardship and care. Water is drawn with respect and gratitude. The people begin to feel a new kind of wealth, one that lives in soil that stays fertile, in water that stays clean, and in communities that remain coherent. Medicine returns to root and resin, and healing becomes a form of alignment. Breath becomes medicine. Diet becomes medicine. Thought becomes medicine. Spirit becomes medicine. Illness begins to reveal itself as a message about balance, and healing becomes a practice of restoring harmony, within the body, within the mind, within the community, and within the relationship to earth. The body itself becomes a sensor again. Feet meet the ground. Skin meets air. People sense storms before they arrive. They hear warnings through migrations, and they read meaning in cloud and wind. They regain a subtle intelligence that once slept under concrete and constant distraction. Learning returns to circles. People teach by doing. They learn by watching. Knowledge travels from firelight to field, from elder to child, from hand to hand. Education becomes presence again, an intimate transfer of skill, story, and wisdom carried by daily life. Songs return, and they sound like seasons. Dances return, and they mark solstice and harvest. Ceremony rises again through rhythm, through gratitude, through the simple act of showing up with reverence. The sacred re-enters daily life as a living breath, felt in planting, in cooking, in building, in caring, and in sharing. Homes begin to follow sunlight and terrain. Dwellings breathe with the earth. Space feels purposeful. Structure feels cooperative. Architecture becomes an agreement with wind and water, with heat and shade, with living patterns that already exist. Tools emerge from the materials that remain close to life. Stone, bone, wood, and fiber return to human hands. Nothing becomes wasted. Everything becomes transformed. What looks like refuse becomes nourishment. What looks like hardship becomes ceremony. Labor becomes meaningful again. And then a deeper shift occurs. People begin to measure advancement through harmony and longevity, through beauty that sustains, through communities that remain kind under pressure. This measure shapes behavior. It shapes choices. It shapes the very definition of success. Lost wisdom reveals its purpose as guidance. It carries the quality of a compass, quiet, steady, and trustworthy. It offers direction without commanding. It supports life without demanding worship. It returns as a partner to human consciousness, and it helps the new humanity grow mature. The people hold the past like water in cupped hands, careful, awake, and generous. They learn from it. They carry forward what strengthens life. They release what weakens it. They treat memory as instruction, and they let wisdom become a daily practice. With every seed planted, every song restored, and every ritual reawakened, remembrance becomes embodied. The people remember who they are, guardians of earth, keepers of balance, and students of the eternal. And now the renewal moves deeper still. In our next episode, we enter 9.3, the rebuilding of the moral order. A new world rises through conscience as much as through shelter. Values return to the center. Truth becomes a shared practice. Justice becomes restoration. Leadership becomes service. Community becomes a living vow, spoken through action, sustained through care, and guided by the wisdom the world has returned to its people. Our next sponsor is Everly Books Publishing Group, a traditional independent press serving both new and established writers. Everly Books welcomes unsolicited manuscripts submitted directly through everlybooks.org.